Hey, everybody. Welcome back today to my IT 299 and 297 internship interviews for this spring 2026 semester. Today, I'm talking with Brittany Turley. How are you, Brittany?
Pretty. I can't talk. Pretty good.
Good. I feel your pain. The pollen hit me last week, and so I don't know. I'm constantly coughing, dry mouth and stuff. So we'll see how I do today.
Yeah, I've got asthma, so it's working.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. So I feel your pain. I'm sorry about that. We'll try to make this as painless as possible, hopefully.
Okay.
I'm sure you've seen other ones out there, but in case this is anybody's first interview of mine, I'd like to talk with somebody about their trajectory into IT and how you landed here, because I like to always kind of show, I kind of know ahead of time, everyone has a different path. I feel like everybody out there who's on the outside assumes that everybody who went into IT was born with a computer in their lap. And so I like to, tear that stigma down and be like, no, there's lots of different paths to get here. So I want to talk to you about that, talk to you about your time here at Mount West, and then talk about your internship. Okay. So the first question I always ask everybody is, when did you notice technology in your life? When did the bug bite you, and what form did it take?
Well, a lot of people are talking. I've heard them say that it started in their childhood almost, but not for me. I was actually outside all the time.
Okay.
The first thing I ever did was there was an Xbox 360 console that I had, and it got the red ring of death. Mm-hmm. And honestly, YouTube was still kind of fresh even at that time, not like it is now. But I found a video on how to fix it, and I went on eBay actually at the time because I don't know why. I just remember I had an eBay account, and I got this Arctic Silver thermal paste, which back then I had no idea what that really was. I just know that the video told me to use it.
Right.
So I really had no idea how it worked. I just knew that I needed it because I was watching the video.
You could follow directions, though.
Yeah,
that's good.
So I took apart the Xbox and I was watching the video, cleaned off removed the heatsink, cleaned the chip, put everything back together, put the new paste on it, got it working. Realized I could do that, and then I ended up buying a lot of Xbox 360s from people that I knew,
right,
that didn't want to fool with it,
right,
and I fixed them up and resold those on eBay also.
Wow.
So that's kind of how that started. It wasn't even, it wasn't even computer stuff. It was just taking stuff apart and rebuilding it.
Interesting. So what age are we talking about? Are we talking about high school, after high school? Where are we talking about there?
I want to say probably for me it would be high school, but it would have been 2009 maybe.
Yeah, I was
2008, something like that.
I was more wondering how far into your life that you started tinkering and kind of doing some A+ stuff there and computer repair stuff at that point.
Yeah, I'd say I was probably I want to say I was 17. I'm 33 now, so.
Right. Okay.
But I didn't even, that was pretty much the gist of it for a while. And then completely just kind of did my own thing with the restaurant business, just working as a manager for different places.
Okay.
Didn't even think about technology again for a long time until the last 3 or 4 years.
So when you were doing the restaurant stuff, great customer service experience you're going to get doing that. Yeah. But also I'm wondering, along those lines, when you were doing the restaurant stuff, had you decided to pursue college at that point, or you were just I'm going to go into the workforce?
Well, I kind of just got tired of working in the food business, honestly. It's not very rewarding, very low pay. Mm-hmm. And so I just started doing a little bit of research on high-paying jobs, especially in this area. And, besides blue-collar work, it's mainly nursing or technology. Right. So I chose technology on that one, and that's why.
Well, I guess I was wondering, if my timeline makes sense, you're coming here around the age of 30. I'm wondering, before that, had you dabbled with college in a different realm and was just like, nah, it wasn't for me? Or was this your first dipping your toe into college?
Well, I think I want to say it was 2012. I went to Bridge Valley for a semester and a half.
Okay.
And at that time, I was like, this isn't for me. But I think it was also because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
I wonder,
and
like,
maybe
were you
just a little
decided?
immature, honestly.
Had you picked an area and you just said I didn't want to do it?
It was just general education.
I got you. Like you,
Almost pretty much like lost credits, really.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I just didn't know what I wanted to do for a long time.
Well, and honestly, like that's okay. Like I think I think it makes sense for someone to get into it and be like, you know what, I'm not really feeling it, as opposed to spending 2 years in college and then coming out and being like, I don't want to do what I just paid for, and then you have that massive debt. So you live and learn. But you said you were doing the restaurant stuff. It didn't feel as rewarding as you wanted to, and then at some point, I'm guessing you decided, let's try to figure out what I can do that is more rewarding.
Yeah.
And so you mentioned you were looking at like higher paying jobs. Definitely, I know like the medical side, the IT side, potentially the legal side. But I also know that from the medical side, having a daughter who's going that route, and knowing a little bit about the legal side, there's some 10-year paths there. So Did that influence your decision to be like, let's go the technology route?
Yeah, a little bit. A little less like schooling, I guess, for it, more certification based.
Right.
And there's like so many different paths you can take on it also.
That's true.
I mean, I've started thinking about it more so in the last year, to be honest with you. I kind of feel like I was just riding the wave a little bit for a while, and now I'm like...
Self-reflecting?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So you thought about the technology aspect. How did you land on Mount West?
I actually just looked online to see what kind of colleges were close by.
Mm-hmm.
Besides Marshall, because I know that Marshall would be more expensive, and also where I'm a little bit older and really needed at least a part-time job, I feel like Marshall would be more of an inconvenience, I guess. I don't know if that's really true or not, but
I mean, it's not whether it's a stigma or not, like it's not something that I haven't heard before.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that. So you were looking at us, you saw I
actually saw Ashland first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like that was like one of the first ones that I saw when I was looking up community colleges near me. And then I saw that Mount West was closer. And so I came here first and, got enrolled in classes that day, actually.
So when you came here and you were talking to them, I mean, I know that on technology, you could have gone like electronics, you could have gone to any of our 3 ITs. What ended up ultimately having you decide to go into IT? And I think originally you hit cybersecurity, right? Like, what was the idea there?
Well, originally it was cybersecurity. I thought it was interesting. I was thinking like the cool videos that you watch on YouTube where like the people are, like watching hackers or stopping people from doing things like that.
Right. Which, spoiler alert, to some degree, it's less sexy, but you are doing that now, You know, you're putting up spam filters and stuff. You're stopping those people.
Well, like I think I did a few classes in the Cisco, and honestly, I didn't like Cisco. It seemed kind of boring. But it could be fun now that I know a little bit more about the other stuff,
Potentially. I will say that I had a similar trajectory. When I was a student here, I started in the Cisco program, and I made it. And back then, you had to take a class a semester. I made it to the third semester, the third class, because there was 4 total at that point. And I got finished with the third class, and I was just like, I don't know. I'm configuring this switch in this router, but I'm not seeing the payoff. Like, I'm not seeing the interaction.
Yeah.
And I was bummed. And like, everything happens for a reason. But serendipitously at that point, Kim Priest talked to me, and she goes, hey, we're picking a handful of students to start a brand new pilot program. We've got this guy coming in. His name's Scott Nicholas. He's going to teach Microsoft networking. Does that sound fun? And I was like, yeah, I like Windows. And so then I hopped over and never looked back. So I get I get the hardware side not having a fulfilling take, but also, to be fair, I'll tell the audience out there, I have had students tell me that they haven't fallen in love with Windows and they like the hardware side. So like to each their own, you know. But you know, hopefully the idea is you can find the passion for what you want to do, so that when you graduate, you're like, oh, I love this. I want to do this every day of my life. Because in theory, you might be. So you started with Cisco. I know. I mean, as your professor, I know you ended up switching over to my administration option. I'm guessing that fulfilled you more than the cybersecurity? You like took to the Windows more, that type of thing?
When I started with my internship at Intiva, that's really when everything started to really click, and I got really interested in it. And I actually really like dealing with like Microsoft 365 admin stuff.
Gotcha.
That's what I really am interested in now. Yeah. I don't know if it's maybe just because it's new to me and I deal with it all the time. But
right. I'm wondering, how's the customer aspect for you? I asked that question because you did a lot of restaurant stuff before. Yeah. And you were, I mean, at the time.
I love it 100% better than working in a restaurant.
Well, I guess my question was going to be to you, you did the restaurant stuff for so long, and I wondered if like you were okay with the people, but not okay with the upward mobility. Like you felt, you know, you couldn't go much higher. So like, I didn't know if you interacting with the people is a plus. And on the Windows side, you're going to get that a lot more than you are on the Cisco side. Mm-hmm. You know, a normal person's not going to call you and be like, hey, I think our router's down. Like that's a higher end IT guy making that call. But a regular administrative assistant will call you and be like, I can't get in with my password, or I can't get my email to work. So I didn't know if you found interacting with the public to be as good as or on par with the restaurant side.
Better.
Okay.
I don't know, just because I guess when you're working in a restaurant, you can deal with anything from, I don't know, like a normal person walking in trying to order food, or a crackhead or something walking in to order food or whatever.
That's true. You don't know what's going to walk in the door.
Different levels of whatever. And when you're dealing with the public in an MSP, you're dealing with someone that's, you know, probably at a desk job already. And
I guess it's still true to say you're dealing with the public, but you're right that it's not technically the off the street public. You're dealing with a client.
Maybe I shouldn't have said it like that. But
no, but I understand what you mean. Yeah, you're dealing with a known company. You're dealing with somebody who's a worker and just not somebody who's walking in to buy food.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like working in a restaurant, you might have a kid that's throwing a milkshake across the room or something. I mean, just crazy stuff that sounds like, you know, like that, but it's true. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of crazy stuff working in restaurants.
Right. And I would have to say, you know, to be fair, I'd have to say that there's a potential that you may deal with some people who are rather frustrated when they're calling you because they're trying to do some work and they can't do it and they're trying to get their stuff fixed. So you probably do occasionally have some people that are a bit irate.
Yeah, they can be. It's just you just have to know how to get them to calm down and, you know, let them know that you're doing your best to assist them any way that you can. And, you know, it's more like de-escalating the situation over the phone.
Since we're already, I mean, we haven't even got to your internship, but since we're already there, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the idea that you are at this point an IT person. You've got a lot of knowledge in your belt. They're calling you for advice, and they're an administrative assistant or they're a person working in marketing, and they are frustrated with this technology. Can you talk to me about how you as the IT person, you as the professional, talk them through their problem when they're not on your same level, they're not in your same culture in that regard? Like, what do you do to help a non-techie get through a problem you're trying to help them with, that type of thing?
Try to use, when you're talking to them, try to give them an idea of what the images look like on the screen or the icons, colors, and things like that. So, I mean, like you'll have to like you can't just tell them to go to system settings.
Yeah, because they'll say, "What's that?"
Yeah, a lot. And everybody has computers nowadays, and you would think that it wouldn't be so much so, but it is. So I tell them to go to the Windows logo. A lot of times they might not know what that is. So again, Windows logo is on your bottom left of your screen.
Unless it's Windows 11, and now he's stuck in the middle.
Yeah, and if you take your mouse, left click on the mouse on the Windows logo, or you can tell them to right click if you're doing it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of icons, what they look like, internet connectivity, the little globe on the bottom. Is there a computer with a cord beside of it? Do you see a wireless symbol? I mean, right. Sometimes they don't know what the wireless symbol is.
Right.
And you really do get, you do have these conversations.
Sure.
So
you like little semicircles.
Well, I say like three lines, a little bit separated.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a guy that didn't know what a web browser was, and I had to walk him through that before.
Sure.
And he didn't want to erase what was in the address bar.
Oh, he thought something was going to go wrong if he erased what was in the address bar?
Yeah, I've actually had that happen.
Wow. Well, I'll tell on him. My dad used to regularly, he would go to Google and in the search bar for Google, type in the URL you wanted to go to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you're going to Google and you're typing how about you just type the address in the address bar?
Yeah, he didn't understand that part.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking that maybe that's what that guy was doing as well, because I think he was an older man,
mm-hmm.
but he was working remotely from his home.
Right. Yeah.
But that might be what it was, yeah.
I've had that experience. I mean, I've worked out in industry a lot, and I had to help people. And the thing that I always tried to do to keep in mind was that understand that I am the expert in this situation. I'm trying to help them. They're not expected to know that. There's probably tons of things they know that I don't. Like when I used to work with doctors, I was like, they know how to do brain surgery. I don't. So what I'm telling them is foreign to them, just like if they were talking to me about brain surgery before. We're each an expert in our own field, and I'm just here to help them get back to doing brain surgery or whatever it is, that type of thing. So
yeah, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of people that are very smart that don't know a lot of basic computer stuff because it's not usually part of, I guess maybe like part of their everyday. Maybe they just use it to check their email when they have to or something. They don't really know much about it.
Right. I mean, to compare it to a whole different area, here in West Virginia, a lot of us have to drive. Like you live far away from places. But, if you talk to a New Yorker potentially and you were like, you don't have your driver's license? You're like 50 years old and you don't have a driver's license? In New York, they could ride the bus. They could ride the subway. Like, why do they need that? So, like, it's just not a technology thing. It's a what are you accustomed to? What have you had to do? And if you haven't been exposed to in your life, then it's not a shameful thing. It's just I'm here to help you get through that. So
yeah, and honestly, I mean, I know this might sound strange, but I can even say that with myself. I kind of skipped the whole Windows 10 era, like completely.
Sure.
I was in Colorado for a few years before I came back to this side of the United States, and when I was out there, I wasn't really doing anything except for like maybe Xbox every once in a while. I wasn't even on my phone that much, honestly.
Right.
I was just outside all the time, Yeah. Yeah, just kind of like different, I guess, in a way. Culture shock.
Sure. Well, and that's kind of what I was talking to there about the culture shock. The fact that like now you're eating, sleeping, breathing the IT culture, and then you're having to help people who were maybe like you were in Colorado, where it's like, how do you help them? So I think that was great. Like trying to talk to them on their level, trying to explain what the pictures on the screen are that they've got, that type of thing. That's all great troubleshooting for you to be able to convey to them what you need them to do. Mm-hmm. So to hop back where we were, you're here now at the end of your 2 years in the administration option. I always like to ask, is there any advice you would have for somebody based on where you are? Is there anything that you feel like you had you known you would have wanted to have done differently in your 2 years here? Any advice for somebody who's further back that you think they should do before they get to where you are, that type of thing?
Yeah. I wish I knew more about certifications before I even started, because I think it would have made it easier for me to understand what was going on in my classes, maybe.
Okay.
There is so much with technology, and it kind of feels like everything's just getting thrown at you from all different areas, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. But I think you should pay more attention to the certifications, especially like CompTIA. I think CompTIA, the A+ one, would be really good for someone to be able to acquire, I guess.
That is typically what they say is a good first certification to get out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I think CompTIA is definitely like the best one. I think you should get it first, really, because if you're going to be troubleshooting people's computers and stuff, you really should know what RAM is and storage and just all the basic stuff that was taught in that class.
Mm-hmm.
And just go from there and figure out what you want to do, because there's just Microsoft, like 365, that's a big thing, I think, no matter what you get into with technology.
Right.
Because everybody uses Microsoft 365.
That's true. That's true. I was figuring in the back of my head when you probably took that A+ class, used to be 270, now it's called 170, but I imagine a lot of the Xbox stuff, 360 stuff you had done, you're like, oh, that was thermal paste. Oh, that was that. I wondered if that stuff clicked in.
I have to say that was probably my favorite class that I had.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it makes sense because
it was very hands-on.
Yeah. You had some history there. So you've been doing your internship at Intiva right down the hall here, a managed service provider. You mentioned, you got a lot of clients there that have Microsoft 365, that type of thing. You definitely had already worked before, like you mentioned, in the restaurant industry. Did you have any assumptions before you started working an IT job about how it was going to be? And if so, like, were those shattered, or were you like, no, this is pretty much what I expected it to be? Like, for people out there who haven't worked an IT job yet, like, give us kind of a mindset of what you thought going in and how, if it really fulfilled what you thought it was going to be.
I honestly can't remember what I thought it was going to be.
Okay.
I know that's not helpful, but
no, that's fine. But I feel like you alluded to earlier that you had a lot of restaurant experience.
Yeah.
And this is now way better. So can you talk? I mean, you talked about the kid throwing a milkshake. You don't have that, but
No.
Are there other aspects that you feel like this IT job is better than the restaurant industry?
I mean, I kind of knew that it would be a ticket-based system. I mean, I had that idea, and I knew that we would be doing a lot of phone calls, obviously, because, we're here on campus. Nobody's coming up here with their computers and bringing them to us. So I kind of had an idea, at least, that we would be calling customers and dealing with them with a ticket-based system.
Fair enough.
I didn't really have any other, I guess, expectations for it.
Okay. Based on your time there, is there advice you would throw out there for people who are going to be doing an internship soon? Like,
it's a lot of talking on the phone.
Okay.
And it may seem hard at first, and you may be really nervous, but you'll get through it. It gets better.
Okay. This isn't a complete assumption, but I would assume most people these days, because, I grew up before cell phones. I know I'm an old man. I go back so far that, I also lived in Wayne. And so I was already a couple decades behind in Wayne, living in the holler I was in. We had a party line. A party line was the fact that it wasn't even your own telephone. Like, you and 3 other households had the same phone number, or the same. Like, if my grandfather had forgotten to hang up the phone, I had to get on my bike and ride to his house to hang up the phone so I could call my best friend Brandon. But I grew up talking on the phone. I would assume these days a lot of people are more accustomed to talking via text. Mm-hmm. And so it may be somewhat anxiety inducing to be like, I got to talk to a live person on the phone, in there. Did you find any of that, or were you already accustomed to that?
The anxiety for me wasn't talking to the person. The anxiety was not knowing what that problem is going to be when they call in and not knowing if I had the answer for it.
Fair enough.
Talking to the customer was actually pretty easy.
So have you managed to reconcile that for yourself? Where I have an idea where I would land on that, but where did you land on that?
Well, one of the things I don't know, I guess the best way to answer this is when somebody calls in, especially when I first started, as soon as they started talking about what their problem was, I would immediately start researching it in Google to figure out solutions for it.
Great.
So that took a lot of the nervousness and anxiety down a lot from just doing that. And a lot of the basic questions with every ticket is how many people is it affecting, and if you're remote or in the office, and really just getting all the details that you can in that ticket.
Right.
And not being so much anxiety about if you can actually solve it,
right.
or so just getting all the information that you can so that if you can't solve it, the next person has that information.
I think what I have in my head kind of tacks on the end of your thing. Ultimately, when they would call in to me, when anybody would contact me, I would originally have anxiety that I'm not going to be able to help them. But I finally got the realization, it doesn't have to be me that solves this, but I am the person who's going to type up this information and put in this ticket that will ultimately make sure that it gets solved, either by me or somebody else. So if you need to assure them, like, I'm going to be able to solve your problem, but I'm going to make sure today that your problem gets solved. That can reassure them. That can reassure you, because you have a deep bench of people behind you that if you can't solve it, somebody else can. And so then that way that kind of like would alleviate some stress from me to say, I don't have to solve every problem, but I'm going to be a part of the solution in this case. And so like I feel good in that regard. So
yeah, technical writing skills is a really big thing to have.
Yes. Yeah.
And not sure exactly what the class name was for that, but I did take an English class. I just can't think of the name.
It's now English 131 Business and Technical Writing.
Yeah, that class was actually really helpful for that. Clear notes, because, something I'm bad about and have gotten a lot better with while working at Intiva is I got a lot of stuff going on in my head that I think that people already know what I'm thinking, but they don't. They have to be able to see it. So putting everything directly in that note that they need to know and double checking it is really important.
That's true.
Easy to read, like maybe bold print things that are really important.
Right.
Add your resources, like sites that you went to for research and different things. Just make it the best. Make it so that the next tech that has an issue like that can look back on that ticket and see how you solved it, and they can actually read it step by step and solve it on their own. A lot of techs that are more advanced or have been in it for a long time, they tend to put in there that they solved the issue and that's it, but they don't actually, put in there how they solved the issue. And that's something that I ran into a lot, was I couldn't figure it out, so I had to reach out all over the place. But if you actually have that information in the ticket, you can look up keywords in that system and you can actually figure out how to solve it.
Yeah, that's a bummer from so many aspects. If you follow that ticket along and you want to see how it was resolved, you simply seeing someone says it's been solved doesn't help your learning. Also, if you get another call, even if it wasn't the ticket you were on, you get another call and you search those keywords and you find that link, it's like going to a forum and someone asking a question and they just come back and say, problem solved. You're like, no, please tell us how you did it because we want to learn.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are like gatekeepers. Like they don't want others to really know how the process worked, or they're lazy maybe. I'm not sure.
I mean, it may be the lazy aspect.
Both.
It may be like, I finished, I need to hop on to the next one. But like, yes, pass that knowledge on, pay it forward.
Yeah, because everybody starts somewhere.
Well, it's called,
I don't think you should be expected to know a whole lot when you first start out.
It's called a knowledge base. Like there should be some knowledge in there for you to get to, So that's a bummer if they don't do that. Well, before I open up questions out here to the class, are there any other things you think people should know about? Any advice you would have across the board that I haven't asked you about?
Not that I can think of. I mean, just I would say don't be nervous, but it's going to happen. So,
Jeff here in Zoom says that I think one of the things he doesn't like is people who keep hitting the caps locks while they're trying to type their password and yelling at you about it, like they're typing their own password wrong. Anybody out there have any questions today here for Brittany? And while I let them check on that, I've asked this a couple times. What do you think is next for you? Are you wanting to pursue certifications, education? Are you wanting to stay in the IT field and continue on there? What's your plan?
100% in the IT field.
Okay.
Certifications, I would actually like to go back to the CompTIA thing again and actually pass it. I was very close to passing it before. And I think I was just like 2 or 3 points off when I did that. I remember.
Well, if you go to do that, reach out to us, because I'm not saying it's a guarantee, and I'm saying this out here online, but when we have to buy vouchers, we often buy them with the expectation that students are going to use them and they last a year. Yeah. So I've been in situations where, like years ago, Jack Loker came to me and was like, hey, I got a Security Plus voucher. It expires next week. You want to try to use it? And I was like, sure. And so I passed my Security Plus, not even expecting to take it, because he had a voucher that was going to die. And if it wasn't used, it was a waste. So so there may be vouchers along those lines to keep out there. Yeah.
See, I think I tried that one also. Same thing though. I mean, I didn't pass it. It wasn't like too far off. But.
Right. I do know that when I took the Security Plus, it was before they did the CE stuff. At the time, they gave me 100 questions in 90 minutes, which I felt was a bit of a pressure cooker, because I'm like, I can't even spend a minute on these. Now, in the newer style, I don't even know how many questions you get, but you definitely have simulations where you have to configure firewalls and stuff, which might work for you because you got some experience doing stuff like that now.
See, I feel like that might actually be a little more helpful. I don't like tests where it's just words everywhere.
They call them
I like hands-on stuff.
I think they're called performance-based assessments. I know Zan Dick took his Network Plus, and he was like, he goes, I needed to go ahead and knock those out first, so I knew that I had the hard part done and I can go back and do the regular question. So Rodney here has a question for you. If you had to choose sticking with Office 365 or learning something new, which would you choose?
Well, I feel like I'm still learning with 365. So, I mean, I guess for this moment in time, it would be 365, yeah. Okay. I've been checking out a couple different things here and there, but with like school going on also, it's kind of hard to just stay on track with just one thing. But NVIDIA even has free courses online that you can take.
Right.
So I enrolled in a couple of those, including like the AI course that they have right now.
That's cool. Yeah, I know NVIDIA has stuff like Carnegie Mellon. I feel like Harvard has free classes and stuff out there that you can do.
and you can take the certifications, and you can I don't know. I think it's like a link or something. You can add it to your LinkedIn, I think.
Yeah. Maybe you get a badge
or
of some
even
sort.
Udemy. You can put their certifications on LinkedIn also.
Yeah,
it may not be official like Microsoft certifications or anything, but it still shows that you.
It also shows that you're a self-starter and you're continuing to learn. No one's making you go into that Udemy video but you. So I think from a resume standpoint, it could be great to be like, look, I'm just not resting on my laurels. I'm learning more.
Yeah, that is actually something I suggest that people check out is Udemy. I know you've said it before, but they do have sometimes it's like $89 for a class, but they go on sale all the time to like $15.
Indeed,
and I probably have like 10 different courses that I've bought, so I just go back and forth through all of them all the time.
I love to hop in there and see like what can I get for $15, and you can get some like 80-hour classes for $15, and it's a fantastic deal.
Yeah, whenever they go on sale, I usually buy a couple at a time, even if I don't have time to do it right now. Right, it's just cheaper that way.
Well, awesome. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for coming in and talking to us about your trajectory into IT and your time here on campus.
Yeah, thank you.